Hey everybody, Scott Weichel. You are listening to the award-winning My Kind of Country right here on MKOCRadio.com. It's always a pleasure to have this gentleman on my show, and he's wrapping up his Sunrise to Sunset tour, and he's going to hang up the touring part of his career, but he's still going to be doing a lot of other stuff. And he's here to talk with us about it today. It's a pleasure to welcome Rex Allen Jr. to My Kind of Country. Rex, how are you?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's great to talk to you again.
Oh, absolutely. I was talking about you the other day. I interviewed a gentleman by the name of Jerry Nail down in Texas. And
Really?
when he was just a kid, he was in a movie that your dad had out called Tomboy and the Champ.
That's right.
And we were talking about that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was after Dad did all of the Republic pictures and stuff like that. He did 2 or 3 films after that, and that was about it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was a good one. I actually found it online, went back and watched it. It was a neat movie. I love those old movies. You know, there's
Well, that's when you could go to the movies and not worry about it.
yeah, no kidding. No kidding. You know, there's something missing
I've
today.
I've got grandkids, and I have to call my son and say, "Can I take the kids to see this?" "No, Dad, you can't.
Yeah.
It's got the wrong rating on it, and I go see it and see if they'll be scared or whatever." And it's not like the old days where you could go to the films on Friday and Saturday night and see something that the whole family could see.
Exactly. Even some of the kids' movies nowadays, it's like, I don't know if I want my daughter watching that,
Exactly.
Man. Well, you tell me about this show in Mount Pleasant, Iowa. Man, what a huge listenership you brought in for that.
Well, yeah. But here's what the deal is, and let me go back to the beginning of it all because it's a better story than just a concert. About 3 months ago, a fellow that owns a company called Bright Frontier Films came to me and he says, "I'd like to do a documentary on your career because this is your retirement year and you're not going to do, live performances." And I said, "Well, first of all, I am going to do live performances." I said, "I just don't want to worry about trying to sell tickets and all of the other stuff. I'll go sing for free." But I don't want anybody to book me anymore. and anyway, he said, "Well, we'd like to do a documentary." So I said, "Sure." So they came in to Nashville and they came to my house to shoot because that's where all the stuff is. My career life is in my home, and
Sure.
but then I got to showing them around the house, and I am Rex Allen Jr. That means that the guy that started me in this business was Rex Allen Sr.
Yeah.
And so, I've got memorabilia on Dad that, I've got his original motion picture spurs, I've got his original belt buckles, I've got the outfits, I've got, on and on and on and on. And I've got literally thousands of pictures of Dad and me and my career and that sort of thing. Well, so what became my documentary is now, as rightly it should, has become partly Dad's because they never did a documentary on my father. And so the producer called me after he was here, and he says, "I want to take you out one more time." And I said, "Okay, where do you want to go?" He said, "I want you to take me in your truck and drive me down Music Row and start talking." And basically what happened is that controversy came into it. And the controversy is that I was in Los Angeles. I was 15 years old when the lady who started the CMA came to Los Angeles to solicit the help of Roy Rogers, Rex Allen, and Gene Autry.
Uh-huh.
She wanted to start something called the Country and Western Music Association.
Right.
In those days, the music industry, country and Western music, was separated. There was Nashville was going on. And then there was the West Coast. There was Buck Owens and Freddie Hart, on and on and on. Dad, the Collins kids, Tex Williams, on and on. And so she needed to marry both of the two places together. So she even I was in the room when they made Gene Autry the first president of the Country and Western Music Association. Well, she got everybody on board here, signed off, and took a bunch of stuff. They all gave stuff for her projected museum and that sort of thing. Then she got back to Nashville and dropped Western off of it. Well, she effectively killed Western music as a major genre in our music industry. And now it's still alive. Don't misunderstand me. It never went anywhere. It's just that the country people, country radio and so on and so forth won't recognize it. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm one of those people that believes that Western music has been doing just fine.
Absolutely.
I mean, we had Marty Robbins in 1959 with the Gunfighter Ballads album. You had my record of Can You Hear Those Pioneers, which brought it back again. And I believe that half of what Garth Brooks did is Western music.
Yeah.
Define it properly.
Yeah.
I mean, Beaches of Cheyenne is a Western song. And
that's right.
Toby Keith should have been a cowboy. Come on.
Yep.
Well, it hasn't gone anywhere. So we talked about that, and then we also talked about the one man in this town changed country music overnight, and that's Jimmy Bowen. I'll even say his name. Mm-hmm. He's the man. He's the guy that Garth Brooks fired at Capitol, and he went on to, I think it was Universal MCA. And what he did was he went around and signed all of the acts out of the 60s and 70s and early 80s, signed them all to a label called Universal Country, and then refused to record them. He says, "You're under contract to me. You can't record for anybody else, and I'm not going to record you." Well, he signed Gatlin. He signed Gary Morris. He didn't sign me, but he signed a bunch of them. And literally overnight changed country music and wanted to make it more the way he wanted it, which was pop. He wanted it more pop country because he felt he could sell more records that way. Well, that hasn't been the case. Country music has been, always was, and always will be a 100,000 unit market. The Capitol, or not Capitol, but RCA had 10 artists that sold 100,000 units.
Yeah.
And they were happy. And then all of a sudden, Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton sold 1 million units. New York moved to Nashville and said, "What we need is 10 artists to sell 1 billion units." Well, there aren't 10. There aren't 10 that do that. Country music never has been that. Now, so that's basically what the documentary is about, is the changes in music and so on and so forth. And then they said, "Well, we'd like to shoot some concert footage." And I said, "Well, I got an idea. Why don't you come up to Mount Pleasant and shoot?" They said, "Mount Pleasant, Iowa? Where in the heck is it?" And so they said, "Well, how many hundreds of people are going to be there?" And I said, "Well, normally in Mount Pleasant we have between 4,000 and 8,000. They said, "People?" I said, "Yeah, not practice. You got that. You got 4,000 to 8,000 people." So they came up, and Blackmagic camera came in. They've got a new camera, and they shot it all in 4.5 digital, and came in with 11 cameras, 2 drones, a crane, and everything else, and shot the concert. Well, what the plan is that, and then the next place they're going to my final show in Wilcox, Arizona, which is on October 7th. They're going to shoot that concert, and they're going to package it all together in a big DVD set. And actually, what started out as they were going to go for just a documentary for the documentary channel has now become a film.
Oh, great!
And they're going to release it all over the place, and they're going to go to Sundance and Cannes and all those things like that. And the interesting thing is they understand the foreign market, and they know how popular it's going to be, especially in the foreign market. The concert will probably run on, all over the world, on television and in theaters and stuff like that.
That's
so
great.
what the whole documentary thing and the concert and my final concert and so on and so forth, we're trying to take country and Western music to the world.
Yeah.
As you know from your listeners, that you've got a lot of people who follow you that are foreign. And,
Absolutely.
And I don't want to leave those folks out. I like them.
You betcha. Well, it's a big market. And you had, I read that you had 971 million listeners for that show in Mount Pleasant. So that tells you something right there.
Well, there were people listening in Australia and New Zealand and all over Europe. All the ships at seas, Armed Forces Radio broadcasted. And they can't, first of all, the Armed Forces Radio, they can't tell you who's listening because that's against secrecy laws. Yeah. We know by what we got in the emails, from troops over there. So it was a wonderful experience. It was great for country music. because it was all traditional country music. It was me, Leroy Van Dyke, for goodness sake, Mo Bandy, and David Frizzell. I mean, what else can you? That's really where, that's country music all the way from the 50s to the mid 80s.
Amen. Yep. Amen. And that's all people we play on our show, and all those guys have been on my show. So that's right in our niche, So that's fantastic. And you've had several #1 songs here in the last few years. Most recently, "The Call of the Canyon" was a #1 in the Western charts from your Garage Songs 10 album.
Yeah, the last cowboy song.
That's incredible, And
the Call of the Canyon is as you said, is the #1 Western song in the world right now. And also, the album is the #1 Western album in the world.
Yep.
And so far, we've had right at 5 million requests for it worldwide. I mean, that's a big record.
That's a big. That's huge. Absolutely.
That's huge.
And you've got.
And the coolest thing about it is the guy who wrote it is a fellow named Dick Goodman.
Mm-hmm.
And Dick Goodman is twice a member of the Western Music Hall of Fame. He's 84 years old. This is his first single.
Is that right? No kidding.
That's right. And I hope he wins Song of the Year with the Western Music Association.
Amen.
Because I can't wait for an 84-year-old guy to go up there and get the award.
Absolutely. That's great. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I read that you are planning a Garage Songs 11 too, right?
Actually, yeah. Garage Songs 11 is done. It's at pressing now, and it will be. The release date on it is October 7th.
Fantastic.
And the coolest thing about Garage Songs 11 is that I did a television show for the Nashville network called Yesteryear.
Yeah.
And my singing partner on it was Lisa Stewart.
Oh, yeah.
Lisa Stewart is, I think, one of the finest voices in all music today. And I brought Lisa in to do, she's got 2 duets on the new album.
Oh, great.
And the first single off of Garage Songs 11 will be Cup of Tea, which I cut with Margot years ago. Margot Smith. It's a recut. We redid it, and then another tune that I won't say what it is because I don't want somebody to go in and cut it.
Oh, that's great. Well, we'll be sure to get that on the air when it's ready to go. I can guarantee
it'll be released in January. It's January, February. It's in conjunction. It'll all be released in conjunction. Lisa and I have already shot the video for it, and it'll all be released in conjunction with the documentary and the concert and all that stuff.
That's wonderful. And you're going to be staying busy. You told me something I thought was a profound statement the last time I talked to you. You said after you were done touring, you were going to buy a motorhome and go back and see all the places you'd been. And I thought that was a very profound statement because you really don't see where you've been because you're at the venue in a hotel and a bus, and so you actually can go back.
Yeah, it's like Leroy said. Van Dyke said to me, he says, "What the heck are you going to do?" And I said, "Well, I'd like to go to New England and see fall." He says, "Well, you've been up there. You worked Country Gold Show up there with me." I said, "Leroy, I've been there twice." I said, "The first time I drove in my bus with the band at night, got there at midnight, slept most of the day, got up, did a concert, and then left, and then didn't see a darn thing. It was nighttime." I said, "And the second time I was up there with you, I flew in at night." And then you had a sound check at 9 in the morning the next day in the building, and 2 shows at 2 and 6. I said, it was dark by the time I got out of the building. I got on a plane the next morning and saw a fall from 35,000 feet. I said, I want to go sit someplace and see it.
Absolutely. Well, I thought...
there's a lot of other places like that I want to go. And
sure.
The motorhome idea, I might do that. I don't know quite yet. I'm not going to make any irrational decisions, but I am going to see. I want to go back and, it's been so long since I've driven up Highway 1 in California, and up through the giant redwoods and all through the Oregon coast. And I want to go back and see that again. I want to go to places that I haven't been in a long time, that I was with my dad because I started on the road with my father when I was 7.
Man.
And, places that I'd like to go back and see, And, I want to go over on the East Coast and spend some time in the Carolinas and that sort of thing, which I've never really had a chance to do it other than to work. And that's what I'm going to do. And I got a lot of other projects to do. I'm still going to record. The people who are doing the documentary are talking to me about a television show they want to do. And so I'm going to do that too. So I'm going to be there.
Yeah, you certainly are. You'll probably be
you
even busy.
You never know where I'm going to show up. It's like, I let this out for your listeners. My last show is October 7th, but then at the end of the month is Red Stiegel's Chuck Wagon charity thing in Fort Worth. And I've already got the hotel room booked. Red doesn't even know I'm coming. And I've always wanted to do it. Not only is it a great cause, but he is such a wonderful friend. And he always said, Rex, I can't afford you. And I said, Red, I'll come for nothing. He said, no, I won't do that. I said, okay. So now I finally told him, I said, look, I'm coming. Bring in my guitar, and you don't have to pay me because I'm retired.
That's great. Red's a great guy. He was on my show just a couple months ago, and we had a blast. He's fantastic.
He's a wonderful man.
He sure is.
Man.
He sure is. Well, Rex Allen Jr. is the website, rexallenjr.com, and you can go there and pick up Rex's music and read all about what's going on. The Rex Allen
a Facebook page too, a band page. Hit me on that.
All right, we'll put all that on our Facebook page too, folks, and you can go there and visit that. Oh yeah, absolutely. And Rex Allen Days is October 5th through the 8th, and your show is already sold out, but there's a lot of other great events there you can go and check out. And of course, in Wilcox, Arizona, 66 years, right?
66 years it's been going on.
Wow.
And I think this is somewhere around my dad did it for 25 and then turned it over to me. And I've been doing it. I did it more than Dad ever did it.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Yeah. Well,
I still plan on going out there too, by the way. I just am not going to do concerts and stuff like that. I'm going to watch the parade like everybody else does.
Good for you. Good for you. Well, you can pick and choose what you want to do and enjoy yourself. You certainly deserve it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad to hear it. Well, Rex, as always, it's been a pleasure talking with you, and I sure enjoyed meeting you down in Pigeon Forge. That was such a great time.
I did too, and I'm going to try to get back there again next year, and even if I have to buy a ticket.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I hope that we get a chance to visit again. That was a lot. Seeing everybody, it was just great. I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off, but it was fun, and I got a lot of nice visiting. And it's nice to to meet people face to face and be able to talk. You talk on the phone and stuff, and when you get to meet face to face, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's much better that way.
Absolutely.
All right, my friend. Well, thanks a lot.
Well, thanks for the time. RexAllenJr.com, folks. Go check it out. And we're going to play some of Rex's music for you, including Call of the Canyon, his #1 single right now, as we continue on My Kind of Country right here on MKOCRadio.com. Rex Allen Jr., thank you again.
Thank you.